Good evening, everyone. Meteorologist Hutch Johnson joining you. I've been waiting for more models to come in, and I have more of an idea. Models starting to agree it may be an even wider band of heavy snow with this storm system. Your forecast begins right now. Once again, thanks to my sponsors at Robert Gibbons Sons. We want to let you know about a system called a ductless mini split. If you have no ducts in an area of your home or business, it's no hassle. You can get zone control with quiet, efficient, and powerful smart home technology. Up to $2,000 rebate as well on a new Bryant ductless mini split system. Call Robert Gibbons Sons, tell him Hutch sent you, and let's take a look at this nonsense. I'm going to start with the headline. I'm not making you wait. Now, more models have been coming in, and typically I've been saying, and it's really the truth, that many times when we're looking at the early forecasts for snowfall potential with storm systems, we take a look at these large scale models and they throw out this huge wide area of heavier snow. And this particular storm system now, the finer scale models that are looking at this are starting to draw a very wide band of heavy snow that you see here in the pink colors, so the white and pink colors. So that extends from Brandon, Manitoba, right through the Highway 2 corridor between Williston and Minot, right down through the Red River Valley and right into central Minnesota, all the way out to Wisconsin as this system rumbles its way through. Now, there's going to be a sharp drop off on either side of this system, although there'll be more widespread areas with a good couple of inches of snow possible. Let's go over this in detail and tell you what it means. First of all, here's what you're looking at. If you do have a question, let me know. I'd be happy to answer those here on Hutch's Weather. But for now, I want to talk about a couple of things. One of the things that makes me believe the fact that we may see a wider area with at least 4 inches of snow. So where you see the reds, Hutch thinks it's a very good bet. We're going to see 4 to say 5 or 6 inches of snow, 4 to 6 inches of snow in this area of pink. That's a real good bet. For some, you'll see 6 to 8 plus inches of snow with this storm system. This does include Grand Forks. It does include Fargo-Moorhead with a rapid drop off just to our south. Could Fargo get on the lower end of this spectrum? Yes. But right now, the track of the storm does look like we'll see a fairly good chance at 4 to 6 inches of wind-driven snow. Now, we'll analyze a couple of different things on the models when we get to it here together, and that is, will it be a whiteout? Where are the best chances of those conditions? And in short, in open country, away from the trees, an excellent chance with east and southeast winds rumbling at about 30 to 45 miles per hour. We could have some areas with very difficult travel conditions. This begins Wednesday evening and into Thursday morning will be some of the roughest area travel conditions here in the Red River Valley as we go through. Then this system will continue its way off to the east as we go through Thursday, exiting late on Thursday. Let's zoom into a couple of different areas. I do want to point out that temperature will play a big role in this system. The south and southeast flow out ahead of it is warmer air. That gets lofted over the top of this very cold pool of air that will be in place for us. And what that means is because the atmosphere will be so cold, it's going to be that light, fluffy, fly around kind of snow. It's no fun to drive in, and it also builds up a little faster. So when you stab the ruler in that thing, you're going to get a fluffier snow as opposed to measuring a few inches of ice. That's called the snow to liquid water equivalent. How many inches of snow does 1 inch of liquid water make when we throw it in an atmosphere with this temperature? The challenge for meteorologists is the atmosphere is not just one temperature from the ground up to the clouds, but it's a range of temperatures, meaning that our snowflakes can have a different variety throughout the period of the storm. Looks like snow is on the way, Rebecca. I would agree. Kathy says, how do you do that, Hutch Johnson? I will tell you what, the stars support. You can do that on non-live videos. That's what I found out. Something is wrong with Facebook. I have not been able to get an answer, but thank you for asking. How much for Fergus Falls? Let's investigate the map. Let's talk about southernmost North Dakota first as we take a look at this. Okay, what's going on here with my map? I'm going to switch this back up here, see if I can load the map back up. Okay, here we go. Now, let's see. Now I can zoom in. It wasn't working before. along Interstate 94 and points south. The snowfall will rapidly drop down as we go into the southern part of North Dakota and into South Dakota. We'll have areas with a trace of an inch. I got 1/10 of an inch of snow, up to 2 inches fairly quickly as we get into Stutsman County. A couple of you were asking about Stutsman County and Jamestown, and I said there'll be a ramp in that area where we're going to see elevated amounts in the northern part of the county. That looks to hold true still, with many models showing this solution. Some models do have it sneaking a little bit farther to the south for southern Stutsman County. So Ypsilanti, don't forget to wax your shovels and gas up the snow blowers. Now you're looking at Wells County and Harvey here, Fessenden. A good 6 to 8 inches will be a possibility in your area. Minot, same thing as we look out towards Rolla and Rugby, Towner County, all the way up into Rock Lake. There could be some lofty snowfall potential. Devil's Lake all the way to Grand Forks. Notice Grand Forks appears to be very close to that area where we start to see it ramping down very quickly. So Grand Forks likely in the 4 to 6 category on the lower end, and the ramp outside of town as you go in towards maybe places like Thief River Falls and Red Lake Falls, down into the 2 to 5 inch category fairly quickly when you start seeing the blue colors come in to play. Now, this is going to be fluffy snow, and make no mistake about it. So for snowmobilers, it may be a lot of fun up there in the Northland to get out and use the machines a little bit. Maybe not as much or as deep as snow, but you've been a little bit more fortunate with snowfall of late. Watching from Grafton, Kathy, look where you are. Look at Walsh County, Park River, Lankin, all of you folks in parts of Pembina County here, from Pembina through Cavalier and all the way out towards Langdon. Some lofty snowfall potential for these areas. Now, that pink area has extended into Minnesota. Why? Well, the storm system is cold, but it's also getting closer in time. Things are evolving and it's changing. I mentioned earlier this evening, if you joined me, one of the reasons I'm a little later than normal, one of the reasons is that I wanted to have a few more models come in to look at this, and I'll show you a comparison here in a moment. But we're looking at, well, that 4 to 8 inch range, rocking right into eastern and western Becker County, eastern and western Otter Tail County. Look at this, what looked like not a big deal out there in places like Wadena County. As you go out towards Motley, Brainerd, Staples, these areas, they could be another general bullseye of snowfall activity that goes right there and into the Twin Cities, particularly the northern metro, Blaine, and all the way up into parts of northern Wisconsin as well. Woo-wee, look at this. How about 9.2 inches on that particular location? Now, I wouldn't pay too much attention to the specific numbers in any of these communities. Why? Because this band of heavier snow can shift, and I've seen this happen throughout my 30-year career, a good 50 miles one way, and in some instances, when the models don't handle it very well, we can see it shift a long ways, like upwards of 100 miles. So a few things could happen to make it not look like this as well. Drier air could get sucked into the system as opposed to moist air, and that will cut off in certain spots snowfall totals. It always happens. Some of us end up with a, hey Hutch, where's that 8 inches that you promised that we were going to get on the snowblower for the day tomorrow? Nope, it doesn't always happen that way. But this is what we should prepare for, because the potential is there. And now that we are 24 hours out from the onset of the main event in Northwest, beginning Wednesday in the mid-morning in the oil patch and the Bakken. So we're talking Williston to Minot. That's when things get started for you. I do think there'll be a reasonable chance in places like Kenmare, Bottineau, you could see 1 foot of snow in a couple of these places. Why does Hutch say that? It starts there and it drags and lingers. The snow event, the hours of snowfall will last a little longer there. It's not going to race through here. It will still bring the greatest snowfall as we go through. I'm showing the same thing right now. There is no snow on any of the cams in any of the state at this particular time. Rich, thank you for your observation. Rich Luther, drop a link on here for your network of cameras on YouTube. All over the state at rail locations, rail yards. Rich has an incredible network to help us see what's going on across the area. And I love it when he shares his feedback. So thank you. And he's got a great network there that's well positioned to keep us well apprised of what's going on in these different areas. Okay, let's take a look now. Hi, Nathan. Hi, everybody. Let's go ahead and take a look now at the hour-by-hour forecast for this. Talked a lot about the snow. Timing for Lakes Country. Here we go. First thing in the morning, this system is going to be making its way in, Ashley Lynn. And what I mean by into the Red River Valley. So in the pre-dawn hours, it will be moving from Devil's Lake and into the Fargo and Grand Forks area, pre-dawn. So we will have snow on the ground on Thursday morning, not tomorrow. Thursday morning. So Wednesday, a day to plan, a day to prepare, a day to gas up the snowblower here while the snow begins to take hold in the oil patch. Then as it works its way across the state in the late night hours overnight, it will pass through central North Dakota and move into the eastern part of the state. Daybreak will be snow and wind increasing as we go into parts of, let's say, Lakes Country. That was your question. Sorry about that. Waynesboro, Pennsylvania, can you tell me what's going to happen on Friday? Douglas, save your question and do hang around. Let's get some timing on this system because there will be some of this weather that moves in your general direction, but my gut is the models have been showing this system weakening substantially by the time it makes its way south of the Great Lakes area. Let's take a look. Hey, let's talk forecast here, shall we? This is a lot of fun. I love the fact that I can talk to you and go in depth about this system, so that we can spend as much time as we need to communicate weather properly. It's very difficult to do in 3 minutes, as it took me all of this time already to just describe what the snowfield was showing you, and now I'm going to show you one of the reasons why. Okay, so let's open up this hour-by-hour forecast model. This is a high-resolution model. What we're going to do here is quickly go through a couple, and we're going to look at the timing of the event and when it starts for who and where. Now, this is an American model, but it's a high-resolution model. So it'll show us these intricate areas of heavy bands of snow. Isobars, these black lines here, the closer they are, the windier. These winds are coming out of the south-southeast, and this is on your Wednesday evening. This is dinner time, 6 o'clock, Wednesday evening. You're grabbing the fork and you're hitting that pork chop. But the wind will be a-going and the snow will be a-blowing. Look at this, mixed precipitation in the northeast quadrant of Montana, the big sky country. We're talking Wolf Point out there, Poplar. You folks could be seeing some freezing drizzle in Plentywood and Freud. Unbelievable with the warmer air in place here. This will not be a warm snow. This will be falling in areas where the temperatures will be in the single digits and teens. Valley City heading to Rushville, Nebraska, and the Badlands tomorrow. Donna, get there, get south, and you should be in pretty good shape for your travel route. Now, let's go through the timing on the system. Here it is. This is, again, dinner time on Wednesday. Snow begins, heavy at times, gusty winds. The first band of snow, notice the low pressure system way back here. We still have south winds. This is midnight. We'll get some snow making its way in. And then as we head towards daybreak, we'll have bands of snow passing through the overnight hours. Some of it heavy, not all of it heavy, and the cold front is back here. See these little kinks in the isobars back here? That's the cold front. That's going to start pulling the cold air and wrapping it around. So here is a look. This, you subtract the 6 hours from this. This is 3 in the morning, so pre-dawn hours. The heaviest of the snow is making its way through into Lakes Country, heading towards Duluth, heading towards the Twin Cities by 6 a.m. This seems to be a little faster than even the last round of models was showing. Now, as this goes through on Thursday, look at this. Look how tight these isobars are. These isobars are so close together in these areas where they're closest together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 isobars. Okay, these will be at least 40 mile per hour gusts in areas that have the strongest winds. Not sustained winds, but at least 40 mile per hour gusts in areas out of the north after the snow has fallen through, and this is about midday on your Thursday. So the wind and the snow continues through midday. The snow exits, but the blow continues. See the isobars here out of the northeast continuing to cause blowing and drifting. Julie, thanks for asking about sending stars. You have to look for one of my pieces of content that is not live, and in the comments you'll see a star next to your comment bar. That's where you might be able to send stars. I don't know why they don't work on my lives. I can't answer that. Cold air coming in behind it. So that's one model. I want to take a second and tell you a little bit about how difficult forecasting snow can be. There's something called the snow to water ratio. And we can look at that here. Let me see if I can look at that here. Here it is. Okay. Yeah, I'm not seeing it on this, so I'm not going to waste more time here. Let's go to another model and look at the track and timing on this particular model. This one does a pretty good job. This is also a high-resolution model. Let's see. It starts in the oil patch, dinner time, mainly in Montana. A little bit of icing out there for you folks in Montana. There could be some areas of light icing taking place along the I-94 corridor as we go through your Wednesday night. Here it is in Bismarck, Minot, and the oil patch as we go into Wednesday evening at dinner time. Here it is making its way into Fargo before we really head to bed. This is like 11 o'clock at night. Here's midnight. So this one is even faster. The models have moved this in a little faster into the Red River Valley, even some mixed precipitation. Wind will be from the southeast here, folks, and then here comes the low pressure center on the back side of this system, and that will continue to wind through, bringing bands of snow from the valley into Minnesota. Notice this is more enhanced than it's been as well. So there'll be quite a bit of lift going on here in the atmosphere, plenty of moisture as well. So we'll see some snow potential into Minnesota. The wind potential is still here Thursday morning, blowing with much of the snowfall on the ground by Thursday morning. And then this system continues to bring winds that will shift out of the north and become very gusty or remain very gusty throughout the day. So the wind as the snow is falling as we start our day, if I back this up, the isobars are a little farther apart. It'll be breezy, it'll be windy, and the visibility will be poor as we go through your Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Then the wind really picks up, causing blowing and drifting and some falling. You think this will be more like a 12 to 1 or a 15 to 1 ratio of snow? I do, particularly as we go north, and I think that's why we've seen an expansion or a widening of the area of heavy snow potential. The heaviest snow tends to be fairly close to the low pressure center. As you see these low pressure centers, there's one here, darker bands of snow in those areas. And then you get away from the low pressure center, the snow bands don't have usually as much intensity. That's not always the case, but it's often the case. So with that said, all of this air, very cold up here, will have a high snowfall amount to water ratio. So yeah, good question, and that's very good. I hope I explained that, Ashley, a little bit, but let me see if I can find a little bit about that here. Let's take a look at the snowfall potential, okay? This is a look at the snowfall potential with this particular model and the one that we were looking at. Very similar, okay? So you see this wide area of at least 4 to 6 inches. 4 to 6 inches, a good bet in the area of pink and white, dropping off rapidly down to the south, and quite a bit of blue area out here, which would put you into that maybe 2 to 5 category. Oh, where can you follow this, gentlemen? If you're following me, Douglas, you can follow me right on Facebook. That's a wonderful question. At the end, I always have a cell that tells you where you can go. Oh, hamburgers, Davis says. Stock up on hamburgers and maybe some food and some things that you're going to need, because if you don't have to travel in this nonsense, then don't do it. Now, the National Weather Service is going to take all of this into account. They're looking at model run after model run, and what they're going to do here is, how do we tell where there might be blizzard-like conditions versus that? Should it be a winter storm warning or a blizzard warning? The science behind that part of the decision-making process is with the Weather Service alone. But what we can do is take a look at these models and show you. Here's one model saying a fair amount of snow, right? You with me? That's a fair amount on a wide path and swath of fairly heavy snow. We'll go back to this particular model here and look at their snowfall potential for the same time frame. Look at this. It's shifted a little bit to the north. This model, though, still has a fairly wide swath of heavier snow. This could pan out if we have slightly warmer temperatures here in the FM area. And because of those warm temperatures, we get a little bit less on that snowfall ratio, right? How much snow to water content? That's the challenge. Where that thermal setting is that dictates the amount of snow per inch of water is really better. Hurricanes are definitely better. I miss them. I hate this snow. Ashley, I've never lived through a hurricane or been out in one. So I don't know if it's better. It's just something where we both want to stay indoors and not have to go out too much. Now we've looked at 2 models. Let's look at one more for giggles. I think I had one here that was pretty good that I really liked. Now check this one out. Very similar to the first one we saw. Now, this model here has this wider swath again, even carries it into Minnesota, even some of our lakes countries, including Bemidji, Park Rapids areas as well. And it really cuts it off again, Bismarck down towards places in the Steele area of Kidder County and points south. And this one doesn't have as much snow for you folks in Richland County. So if you're in Hankinson, maybe lower impacts, but not zero impacts. So a little bit, and I'm trying to effort to find a little bit of information on, let me see. I'm going to do something here. Give me one moment. Go this back to a loop. Some of the stuff that I want to look at here is more meteorological, and I had to log into my account. Here's what we're going to look at. We're going to look at the snowfall ratio, but we're going to zoom into our area if I can. Okay, and then we're going to switch to a higher resolution model, the one that I like, or the 2 that I like. The colors you're looking at here are the numbers that one of you was asking about. I'm thinking 6 to 10 band in Devil's Lake in Northwest. I can't rule that out. That's a good solid forecast, my friend. Thank you for adding that. Kathy Knutson, thanks for all you do, and some Christmas snow to boot. The colors you're looking at is the ratio of snow to water. So what we're looking at, oh, this is temperature. Let's see if I can get to the, where'd it go? Oh, you know what? They're not going to give me that. This is the column temperature, but I can't get the ratio of snow calculated from the column temperature. So in the column of air that's above the ground, what we're looking at here is the maximum temperature in that column, 13 below. So up north in the Devil's Lake Basin, Bottineau, Rock Lake, the air all the way up halfway through the pressure depth of the atmosphere, which usually ends up being about, say, 5,800 meters or so. You get up that high, and we're talking about temperatures in that column. The warmest it'll be is 13 below. Well, Hutch says there's no question. We don't have to worry about freezing rain up here. That's all snow if the warmest temperature is going to be 13 below. Do you see this little warm pocket moving into Richland County? But still, the warmest temperature in the column at this time on Wednesday before the storm starts is 6 below zero. Now, remember what time the snow started? Dinner hour out in the oil patch? Remember we were seeing icing? Look at this. Warmer air in that column means ice. Warmer air in the column means that some of the snowflakes can melt into raindrops. Or we get freezing drizzle and that snot that we have to try to drive through here. So watching where this kind of stuff, well, it makes sense. Now, this is the point I wanted to make. You go from Bottineau through Devil's Lake, right? And right through the central Red River Valley into Minnesota. This white color you see here shows me that the temperature's about -10. Let me tell you a story. There is a magic area where snowflakes just love to grow really fast. And this is right in the wheelhouse. So when we have the right temperatures in the right area, we track this area. This is where we just may see that heaviest band to set up. Why? Because snowflakes love getting bigger and really growing fast when we have temperatures in this regime of about -10 to -15. A little lower in the atmosphere, it can be a little warmer. But the bottom line is that this is great snowflake making temperatures right here, right through the central Red River Valley, Fargo, up the Grand Forks, through Devil's Lake, right through Rugby, right through Bottineau. And don't you feel lucky? Because you too are right in it. And this is Celsius. That's right, Chris. Absolutely. This is -13 degrees C. 0 degrees C is freezing. So anywhere, if we slide this over, if we see temperatures start getting above zero means we could have some melted content in the clouds or more liquid water, and that can be where we'll have a better chance at seeing some of that freezing precipitation. Now, this is early in the event as we see things start in the oil patch, and look at the cold air moving in on the backside of it. Everything stays snow up here. We may have a narrow band of some mixed precipitation in our far southern counties, the way this looks to me. But again, When we see temperature structures that look like this, where the temperature's in that -5 to -15 range, we're going to have a lot of snowflake making out there. Okay, so get your snowsuits out, get ready to make some snow angels, particularly for us from Fargo and points north, Jamestown points north, and let's say somewhere between Bismarck and Cole Harbor. Okay, if you're in Cole Harbor, get the shovels waxed. If you're in Bismarck, just keep a watchful eye on things. That's Hutch's hint for you. All right, now let's see if there's something else that we can talk about. We talked the timing about this one. Do you have any questions on this broadcast? Let me see. I'm trying to scroll through and see. They've come by pretty quickly. Grandkids hoping for a snow day in Grand Forks. Thursday looks like that could happen. Okay, so for some areas, there will be impacts to your activities. There will absolutely be impacts to travel. Flexible travel plans are a must, and it's just a wise thing to keep your eye on. Could it still change over what I just showed you? Absolutely. And I say this humbly. If you've ever seen Hutch miss a forecast, then you know it can happen. So this can shift. The forecast of snowfall that I showed you, which is Hutch's forecast, and I think it's a solid one, 4 to 6 inches, solid bet in this pink area. 4 to 6 inches is going to be likely. 6 to 8 plus is going to be possible for a few along the path of that heavier band. Notice this heavy band is set up in those colder temperatures. Ding, ding, ding. Fluffier snow adds up faster. Ding, ding, ding. Temperatures up in the depth of the first half of the pressure depth of the atmosphere, cold enough to make a lot of big flakes. And we like big flakes when we need or want a lot of snow. And that's what this forecast looks like, okay? So travel down to the cities could be impacted by this system, and travel certainly to Duluth or anywhere in the region because of the wind associated with this. Now, we talked about what does the National Weather Service look at for watches versus warnings? So a watch means the ingredients are here. And if they do pan out the way they're looking, we could have a winter storm on our hands. Winter storms often produce 6 to 8 inches or more of snow. This one's going to make wind too. So they even mentioned whiteout conditions possible. I concur wholeheartedly. What makes it a blizzard? We need to find areas where the wind will be 35 miles per hour or stronger for 3 hours or more, with snowfall or blowing snow on the ground that will limit visibility for at least 3 hours. We don't want to issue a blizzard warning for something that lasts a short duration, like a half hour. And we've all driven through that in these parts. You can get a brief shot of heavy snow that lasts 45 minutes. You can't see nothing for 45 minutes. After that, it looks like you could have a picnic with your picnic basket. That's not this type of system. This one may come through with most of its snowmaking potential as we go from Wednesday night into Thursday morning. That's the good news, but then the wind will be with us throughout the day. So we can take one more look at the forecast model with regards to this system now and really focus in on what it is and where we see areas of snow that appears to be moderate to heavy with strong winds. And that's where we'll have the greatest impacts to visibility and have the greatest risk and chance of blowing snow. And for that, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at this same model or the same model set that I've been looking at here. Southeast winds here. These southeast winds will be generally sustained at about 20 miles per hour with some gusts to 35. So that's just right on that precipice of, you know what, probably not blizzard conditions, but would you want to drive through this at 10 o'clock at night? Some bands of moderate to heavy snow where we see the dark blue colors here sticking to the roads and accumulating, and then the wind being strong enough for that snow to limit your visibility to a mile or less. That could be challenging. So the wind will be in that 25 to 35 category as we go through the overnight hours, and then it looks like the wind gusts really pick up, but the snowfall itself decreases. However, if we get the fluffy, blowy snow, then we're going to have problems with this snow blowing across the prairies. Open country in particular will be very difficult to travel, and depending on how much snow you have in town, it can be hard for our plows to keep up with. So That said, Hutch wants to let you know about, if this is your first time watching in some time, that at hutchesweather.com, my friend Joe, my web developer, has set up this button for you. It's the road conditions button. The road conditions button allows you to say, I need to know what my route looks like. Well, you can check it any time on hutchesweather.com. Not just for North Dakota. We've got all states and provinces in our upper Midwest covered, all the way out to Colorado and Montana and Wyoming, all the way out east to Wisconsin, as well as our neighbors over here in Minnesota. We got Nebraska, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Iowa. If you're traveling the region, this is where you can check. You look at the map, you zoom the map into your route, you look at it. If you want to turn cameras on, this is a pro tip right over here. See that little camera toggle? Turn the cameras on. Let's look together at what we have going on here as we zoom into Highway 200 corridor right over here. Okay, there is some yellow. Yellow means icy roads. So there's not a lot of cameras in that specific area, but we can look at the interstate at dark 30. It gets a little harder to see, but you can tell that there's some wintry travel conditions with snow-covered roads in purple, with icy roads in yellow. You have the key on here as well by just clicking on the legend to find out what the colors mean. So all of the local, regional, departments of transportation sites are linked right here on Hutch's Weather for your one-stop shopping. Don't forget, you can use the interactive radar anytime. Don't forget, Hutch can keep you updated not only with text and graphical information on here, but also with the video, including the fact that Hutch is live right now. What? Yeah, I am. Wait, hold on. Yes. Lucky enough, I am live right now, and here it is. You can push on that and watch this, and you can watch my most recent 6 videos. Some of these are shorter version than this live. This live, I've talked for a long time about our weather situation. Good to have you on, Bismarck. It's always a pleasure to have you. Jackie, where you watching from? Hi. Good to have you on board as well. And let's see. So happy that you still do the weather. Jen says, thank you very much. Andy, this is great. Like a weather class. I'm glad that we can pass along and share some information and really shed some light on some of the challenges meteorologists face when it comes to making a forecast like this. We can draw a circle that looks like Hutch's snowfall map up here and say, this is about how much snow we think is going to happen. It can shift either way. And you know what? The honesty is, there was a day when we would go on the air and we'd say, yep, 9 inches in Minot, because that's what the model says. We can't do that. Our computer models aren't that good. We can look at a set of models, several models, and then based on which ones have done the best recently, which ones handle certain types of weather systems the best. This is called an Alberta Clipper. Alberta Clippers are not usually our biggest snow makers. Usually Colorado lows take that place, but not this time. This looks like a substantial Alberta Clipper. One of the reasons why Alberta Clippers are not usually the biggest snowmakers is because they're usually very early in their life cycle when they start in Alberta right here and rock through our area. They're young, they're not strong yet, and sometimes they move fairly quickly out of here. They usually blow up about the time they get to the Great Lakes. This one develops in Calgary. And when it develops in Calgary, Alberta, well, it's going to have more time to develop and make, well, big flakes. And it appears that the temperature regime in our area is going to be perfect to make big ice crystals in the clouds. And it appears that most of those ice crystals will stay ice crystals all the way down, with the exception of a little bit of ice down to the south. What defines a blizzard? Jared, great question. I hope you're still with me. If you're still here, a blizzard is defined as moderate to heavy snow, reducing visibility to under a mile, 35 mile per hour winds or greater for 3 hours or more, 3 hours or more. So that's what a blizzard has to be to define that. So if we go back to our forecast model and we look for where those isobars are once again, and we're looking at wind speeds now, and Hutch is looking at isobars to find where they're close, and based on experience, I can tell you where the wind's going to gust more than 30 miles per hour. So let's go ahead and look at this model that we pulled up right here. And as we go through the forecast time frame, and this model is called the HRRRRRR. If you're wondering, that stands for a rapid refresh model. Okay, so high resolution, HRRR, high resolution, Rapid refresh. Okay, so as we look at the HRRR model, it's kind of funny to say. Here we go. The isobars are getting mighty friendly up here in places like Botano and places like Kenmare and Minot. These winds will gust at times over 30 miles per hour. Put your finger in this spot, and will those winds stay this strong for 3 hours or more? So now you can get a feel for what kind of things we're looking for when it comes to forecasting whether it'll be a blizzard. Well, there's 3, 6, 7, 9 hours later, and it's still blowing, but the snow is decreasing. Do we need a blizzard warning here? We got to weigh those kind of things. Now the heavy snow has moved off here, but look at those isobars. Those puppies are almost kissing. If they're on the playground, they might get detention. So you got to make sure that this area here with bands of moderate to heavy snow, well, it could come with some heavy wind. Look at the time, 05Z, that is subtract 6 hours. Well, here's midnight. So midnight, look at the wind in the Devil's Lake Basin, the Highway 5 corridor through Valhalla and Langdon and Cavalier. Okay, so as we're looking at this area, the isobars are close enough for some ridiculous winds. How long do those winds last? Well, maybe right at 3 hours. So we'll have to keep our eyes on this. The actual pattern that sets up could be different than this, and the next model run might shed a little bit more light. What we do know is, what does this system look like right now? So I can tell you, we're going to have areas where we're going to have wind gusting over 30 miles per hour, and we're going to have moderate to heavy snow, and that means whiteout conditions. And I can't tell you it's going to be a blizzard for sure by definition. I can tell you it's probably going to impact your travel, however, and the road conditions as well. And it does look snotty. Ron says, got a kiddo on Thursday in Wahpeton and then need to be in Drake in the morning. Yeah, you know what? It's going to be a tough one on Thursday. It's going to be a tough one. Traveling south might be a little better than traveling anywhere else. But that in Mentor, Minnesota, what can you expect? You're right in the middle of it. You can grab the sandwich plate as you start your day on Thursday and look out the window, and you'll know a lot more about it. By daybreak, though, this heaviest band of snow may be out of here. And then the wind continues with bands of snow that'll be a little lighter in intensity, will wrap around this low. And the winds here could be 40 to 50 miles per hour based on how close those isobars are together, based on Hutch's experience. So over 40 mile per hour gusts will be possible as we go through lunch hour on your Thursday. This is in Clay County. This is in Becker County. This is in the Mahnomen area, as well as Norman County right here. So you know what? Picking out what counties need to be in a blizzard warning, or whether there is even one issued at all, is yeoman's work. It's something that they do a fantastic job at the National Weather Service. But what we can tell at this early stage, look, we're going to have very wintry conditions. There could be some areas with some pretty heavy and lofty snowfall amounts, and this wind just lasts for a few days. We've also got that term ground blizzard. Here we've got an example where we've got ridiculous winds in the westernmost reaches of Minnesota and the southern Red River Valley, and not much snow at all. Is that a blizzard? Well, if the snow that falls is powder, and if it's blowing because of 30 to 40 mile per hour winds, then we have what's called a ground blizzard. On the ground, that snow is picked up and lofted, and we've seen a couple of these over the last couple of winters. So, moral of the story is we could have whiteout conditions very easily. The heavy snow chances look to be real to me and increasing. Not trying to over exaggerate things here. I've kept these snowfall totals a little lower than the models because we usually don't see widespread areas getting as much snow as the models might advertise that they do. That said, there will be a narrow band that's going to have that 8 inches plus category attached to it. All right, let me see. Thank you all for watching. Shout out to the birthday boy, Ron Driggers. Indeed, happy birthday, Ron. Thinking of you, my friend, on this day. And my son also has a birthday today. So, Tanner, happy birthday to you if you're watching the old man today. Doing a little bit of work. Us folks need laughs now these days. Let's see. More Burr. Appreciate the attention to detail. What time is it supposed to start in the Grafton area? The models are advertising an earlier start. It's not first thing in the morning. It's overnight. So as I back this model up here, let me pull my control board back out so I can back this up. Here it is. Look at Grafton, Park River. There's Walsh County. There you go. And this has it starting, and it's flurries. Light snow potential begins in the dinner hour, but really should be most likely to begin snowing as we cross towards 10 o'clock to midnight. And that's when the heavier band of snow makes its way in. So if the snow is in your area and starts snowing at midnight, it looks like Walsh County could see moderate to maybe heavy snow all the way until we get to, well, this is about mid-morning hours, 10 o'clock in the morning, okay? So there could be several hours of moderate, maybe heavy snow at times in your area in Walsh County even. That includes the Grand Forks area. That includes you folks in Mackville, all the way down into maybe as far south as Mayville and indeed Fargo-Moorhead. So that is a look at the very latest. This is one of the things I can tell you is I do enjoy what I do. I do really try to do my very best at forecasting, and I do get up first thing in the morning and check the models and look at things over again. But all I can say is keep yourselves apprised of the information if you have travel plans out there, and make sure you have flexible travel plans in case things get a little tricky out there. And by all means, it's that time of year where you definitely need to have that survival kit in the back of your vehicle. Lots of BS coming, says Nate, and that's true. Here's the live radar. We've got wintry weather working its way through Iowa once again. This isn't the ice storm. This is snow with a little bit of ice out near Des Moines here. Cedar Rapids, Dubuque, Iowa, seeing some heavier bands of snow making their way there. Somebody was asking about the forecast here moments ago, and this is for somewhere back out along the East Coast. This particular weather-making system may impact you. The Clipper, look at this. How can we forecast it? It isn't even over the Rocky Mountains yet, and it's coming from Calgary. So to show you just a little bit of more of a national picture here to answer the big question, here we go. Let's take a peek at this. Let's get out the European model. I don't always like to advertise that as being the go-to model, but it's done a pretty reasonable job for Hutch in his career. So we're going to go to this. Here's the European model. Here is a look at its rendition of the forecast. What you're watching here is this weather wiggle working its way out of Iowa tonight. And as let's see, let's put this. Okay, the newest version of the European model is not in for me yet, so that's something to keep in mind. Here is the onset of the storm. This one has it at about midnight now in our area. The system making its way through Iowa right now is going to make its way into Pennsylvania, New York, Maryland, and the northeastern United States with a mix of precipitation, but it's a fast mover. This is Wednesday tomorrow as we go through the early afternoon and evening hours, and it's out of there. So it's a quick shot, not one of these 4-footers that have been hitting Buffalo and Syracuse the last few times. Then here comes our Clipper. Watch what happens to it as it makes its way through Wisconsin and into parts of Michigan. We could still have some areas of moderate snow and a lot of wind. It is coming with cold air, I'll guarantee you that. That cold air will be diving all the way south into Memphis. But as we take a look at this system, it really does fall apart until it reforms over the mid-Atlantic states. Then most of the models, including this run of the European model, has most of the energy out over the Atlantic and not over the Appalachians. So that's good news for the East Coast. You're still going to have some impacts going into your Friday night as this system develops along the mid-Atlantic states here. See that? Kind of two systems combining, this wobbly, old, aimlessly wandering low-pressure system with no direction meets this Alberta Clipper. They join paths and they zip out to sea pretty quickly. Look how quiet things are Sunday and into Monday. Not a lot of big weather making its way through until we see the advance of another Clipper-style system, not out of Alberta, make its way in next Monday for the Northern Plains. That is a look at your forecast. Let's go ahead and tie up the loose ends here with some of the other content that you need to know about. Number one, temperatures for tonight look like this. Here's a look at what's going on right now. We have the snow in Waterloo. We have very quiet conditions here. We've had snow in Fargo-Moorhead that's barely showing up on the radar here as we zoom you in. Let's take a look at your temperatures right quick here as we wrap up this look at your weather. And here we go. It's 5 degrees right now as we look up in that, well, that's Belcourt area. Langdon, 16 degrees. So the cold air is moving in. And Fargo's at 21 now. It's 16 out in Foston. It's 16 in Thief River. And our air temperatures are going to be cooling with this cold pool making its way in from the oil patch. So as we start our day, I'm expecting temperatures to be in the teens here in Fargo, maybe as cool as 12 degrees first thing in the morning, and falling throughout the day. So I expect falling temperatures into your afternoon here in Fargo and steady to falling temperatures up north that'll be cold. That sets the stage in our area with cold air near the surface, and this dome of cold air will be in place. When the clipper comes through, it's going to throw moist air over the top of that cold pool, and that's why we're going to have those fluffier flakes making their way through. So that's a look at current temperatures. Here's your feels like temperatures right now. Not a ton of wind here, but it feels like 13 in Fargo, 8 below in Minot, and if you get up in Estevan right now, you may want to bust out the old earmuffs. If you don't have the earmuffs, then bust out one of these. Just make sure you're covering your ears, and you should be good to go. So that's a look. Look at Brandon, Manitoba. There, you'll want one of these as well. 23 below Fahrenheit, my Canadian friends, is the scale that we're using on this feels like temperature map. So what does this mean for your morning tomorrow? Let Hutch explain, and we'll get done with the night's broadcast here. Number one, in the morning, I expect temperatures in Fargo to be 12, as I said. Teens up to the north as well. Coldest weather up near the international border. Light wind, steady to falling temps throughout the day. Sunrise, 8:08 a.m. Now, as we go into your afternoon, temperatures go from 12 to 6 at 4 o'clock. So we may be hovering at 12 for a little bit, but then we come on down. Northwest winds, and well, that's not winds, that's the track of the snow, will be by Wednesday afternoon, moving out of the oil patch into the Devil's Lake Basin. And as we saw here now, by the time we get to Wednesday evening, by just after dinner time, between say 6 and 10 o'clock, we'll start to see impacts of snow in the eastern third of North Dakota. Merry Christmas, Ethan. Thanks for joining on this wonderful night here tonight in the Valley. Okay, Clipper 1, we have 2 of them. We've talked at length about the Wednesday night, Thursday one. This is going to be an impactful system. And then Saturday's system will be a little bit faster moving and a little less impact on the snowfall. So we already did take a look at the snowfall for Clipper 1. Here's a hint about Clipper 2. Another inch of insult is going to be likely for many along the track of this one. This track may shift either way depending on where our temperature boundary sets up. But it looks like eastern North Dakota and central Minnesota will have the greatest impact. And again, we're just talking about a few inches at most with this second system. The way it looks right now, it will come with some wind. 7-day planner, here you go. Ho, ho, ho. Temperatures falling in the morning from 12 down to 6, then rising overnight to 17 as we have that system making its way through. 17 degrees is cold enough for some freezing flakes flying through the atmosphere furiously. 1 to 6 inches, we can refine that just a bit and say Fargo and Grand Forks all are sitting in that real good bet of that, 4 to 6 inches, like I've been saying throughout this broadcast. 4 to 6 inches is a good bet. 6 plus in a few areas. That's a possibility. So Wednesday night and Thursday, just stay home and play guitar. Got it. Yes, that's a good idea. I will bring my guitar with me, and we'll do a little bit of guitar music maybe on that as well. So what we do know is we do have some, after Clipper 2 makes its way through, it's going to keep us on this in this cool regime here, and then a warming trend, and it looks much, much quieter as we head towards Christmas Eve on your Tuesday. It looks pleasant. It looks 24. Travelers, just beforehand, we're going to have seasonable kind of road conditions here, but at least quiet as far as new snow and nonsense. That is a look at your weather. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. Thank you very much for watching on this late edition. Ethan's hoping for 8 to 10 inches of snow. What about you? What are your hopes with this broadcast? Z is Zulu time. That's right, Tyler. Zulu time is the universal time code used around the world, says Tyler. That is exactly right. 0Z is midnight in Greenwich, Europe. That is the very first time zone, and that is where it is 0Z is midnight in Greenwich, Europe. And then basically we subtract 6 hours here in the central time zone. Once we go to daylight savings time, we go 5 hours. Okay, so subtract 6 hours when we are on normal time, standard time, CST, Central Daylight Time, when we're daylight saving time, then it's a 5-hour difference. So good job there. That's exactly right. Thank you for answering my question. You bet, Douglas. And Rita, thank you very much for sharing. For now, I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. Check out Hutch's weather for the latest and have a wonderful night's sleep. I'll keep you apprised, but tomorrow, be prepared for some nighttime snow and blow, a lot of wind, and some tricky travel conditions. Thanks so much.